What I want to talk about in this video is the concept of diffusion. And this is one of those things that I think most people think that they understand, and they don't necessarily understand, or maybe not well enough. The first thing that you should know about diffusion is that molecules are frankly kind of lazy. And what they like to do is they like to move from areas of high concentration to areas of low concentration. What I like to think about this as is I like to think that the molecules are very happy to take the slide. And they're very, very unhappy when they have to take the stairs. And it's because this takes energy, just like it would for you or me. So when we think about diffusion, then we need to think about the movement of molecules down this gradient. But there are a couple ways that we can change this movement of molecules. All right, when you look at this simulation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bunch of molecules at this site. Now, once those molecules start moving, what you're going to notice is that they're moving from the location that I added them, and they're dispersing. And the way that they're dispersing is they're using a random movement that's called Brownian motion. So they're all moving randomly. We couldn't track any individual molecule, but we can make the statement that the molecules are moving from high to low concentration because the majority of them will be moving in that direction. However, if we leave it long enough, you'll notice that the molecules become evenly distributed. Now, in this simulation, we have a membrane, and it turns out that our molecules are not allowed to cross that membrane. However, if we add channels, the molecules are then able to make it through that membrane fairly easily. And again, notice they're going from high concentration up here to low concentration down here. And the reason they're going from high to low is that they are trying to reach equilibrium. So one thing we need to think of is as a molecule is trying to reach equilibrium, there are certain things that are going to affect it. One of the things that's going to affect it is the speed of movement of the molecule. If we want to figure out the rate, which is the distance over time, the speed that that molecule is moving is going to be the main determinant of how long it takes it to move a distance, right? If the molecule is moving really fast, it'll happen fast. If the molecule is moving really slow, it'll take it a very long time to reach that equilibrium. The main thing that you can do to influence speed of movement of molecules is change the temperature. Because heat adds energy, the molecules use that energy and it makes them move around a little bit faster. Conversely, cold makes things move slower because it takes away a little bit of energy. The next thing that can influence diffusion is the distance of movement. It's going to take a molecule a lot less time to get from here to here than it is to get from here to here. The bigger that distance, the longer it's going to take. Now, this is actually something that comes into play with cells. You can think about if a tissue is very small and narrow, a molecule of oxygen can diffuse across it very easily. But if the tissue is very thick, then that molecule of oxygen is going to have to go a much longer distance. And a lot of what you'll find in physiology is that you're trying to reduce that distance of diffusion so that it happens a little bit faster. All right, now I'm going to move on to my third thing, and to do that I'm going to have to go back to that simulation, and that's the concentration gradient. When you look at this simulation, if I put 4 molecules out, and we wait to see how long it takes for 2 to get across, oh, I only put 3 out, so now I get to do one more. Takes a while. Instead, now if I put out, I don't know, I'm just going to push this button a lot. If I put out a lot of them and we see how long it takes for 2 of them to get across, it's actually a much shorter time, we've already done it, than it was when we didn't have that many molecules. And that's how that concentration gradient can become really important for diffusion. The greater the concentration difference between the two sides, the faster those molecules are going to move. And that comes from, whoops, that comes from two things. One of them is that the drive for the molecules is going to be larger. Basically, as this slide gets larger, the molecules are going to want to move faster. Now, the other thing that changes is just the physical, the amount of contact with the membrane. And that's going to increase as the concentration increases. Okay, hopefully this has gotten across a few concepts related to diffusion and that you find it helpful.